my creatives, and welcome to another video. So today I'm going to make a pen pal journal with you. First of all, I'm going to share what a pen pal journal is. So a pen pal journal is a journal where you memory keep your snail mail. And for me, I get a lot of snail mail and I would love to keep everything, but it's not possible because I have boxes and boxes filled with envelopes and they just take up a lot of space. So a couple of years ago, I decided to make journals for them and to keepsake my snail mail in here. So there's a place for my letters and I always can find it, and a little journal doesn't take up as much space as an envelope. So for me this is the perfect solution to keep what everyone sent me in a little spread and just look back at them. So I'm gonna take you through this one. So every page is made with the mail that I received. So for example, here's the card and here's a little note from Estelle, and I make the mails in the theme that people send me their stuff. So I try to use only stuff from the mail. Sometimes I add a little bit, but usually it's just stuff from the mail, and I make a little spread. But because these journals get quite chunky, this one is pretty okay, but if you have a look at this one is pretty chunky. I make my own journals, and I will show today how I make them and what I use, so you can start making your own pen pal journals and keep your letters in here. Look how beautiful it is, and I know where to find my letters because they are in here. If I want to reread something, say her sent me, I just take out her letter here. For all of these pages there are process videos on my YouTube channel. I have a playlist which is called Pen Pal Journal, and there you can see all the pages that I made, but today we are just going to make the journal itself. So what I like to do is I like to take a scrapbook paper, and it doesn't matter if it's double-sided because then you will just add a white piece of paper on the back of it and it will make a nice sturdy cover. But for this example I do have scrapbook paper that is with a white side, and this will be my first page and my last page, and this will be my cover. So I will just go and look through what I want to use as my cover. Usually I pick a paper that I really like. For example, I think I'm going to use this one. I'm just going to take it out of my scrapbooking pad. So this is a paper pad from Action. I bought quite some time ago, but usually I take something that's a bit sturdier. But it doesn't have to be very, very sturdy because, yeah, you know, it's just a little insert journal. There's not much going on. So usually take one scrapbook paper. Then with that I have some 200 GSM printer paper. This is A4 size. I live in Europe, so I use A4 size. And I take 5 of these sheets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because I figured out that making 10, 11 spreads in a journal will make it fit. If I put in more, these will become non-usable. That's also why I don't buy journals for this, and that's why I make my own just for this function. Because people send me a lot of stuff, and sometimes there is a lot of things that I want to keep in here, but they're quite bulky. So that is why I make my own journals with just a few spreads in there. So there is enough room to grow. So what I do, my journals are A5 sized, simply because I'm also very lazy. Because these sheets of paper I only have to fold in half. So that is what I'm going to do right now. So now I have my 5 sheets of paper folded, but this one is obviously too big for my journal cover. So what I like to do is I like to take one of the papers and just mark on this side where I have to cut my paper. So I will line it up with one of the sides of this paper. So I'll take this out of the way. And I will just make a pencil mark simply because I don't want to measure this. So I usually take my paper right up to 2 of these edges so they are lined up nicely. Then I will grab my pencil and make a little mark here, knowing that I have to cut my paper there. And I will also do that on the bottom. And I will make my mark here. So now I have 2 marks on my paper and I know where to cut it with my trim and scoreboard, which I will grab now. So here is my trim and scoreboard, and I'm just going to line up one of the marks with the cutting line over here, and I'm just going to cut my paper. So it's better to leave it a bit too big instead of too small. So I will just cut this piece off and then I will cut this side off. Now here is my cover, and I'm going to do the same as I did with the papers. I'm just going to fold it in half. I use my bone folder to get a very nice crease on here. And then that's pretty much it. All you have to do now is assemble it and bind your journal. So I'm going to take this aside. So let's see, the paper is supposed to go like this. So this will be my cover. Now I'm going to take my 5 papers that I folded, and I am going to put them in one another to create a signature that I can sew in my cover. Making sure that they are well tucked into each other, and then I'm going to add that to the cover of my journal. And that is the base of my journal. So I'm going to line this up. I cut it a bit bigger than A5, just a couple of millimeters, to make sure that I will keep my papers inside here. Like this. And now I'm going to find some binder clips. So I have some binder clips here, and I'm going to add them to my book so everything stays in place. Is everything how I want it to go? Not quite. So making sure that your paper is straight is one of the more important things you have to do and be mindful of. But if it's not completely perfect, it doesn't really matter, because you're going to collage in it a lot. So it doesn't really matter that's not the perfect journal. So now everything is secured, and I am going to take my ruler. And I am going to take a pencil, and I'm going to measure out where I want my holes to be. So I always take the center of my papers, which is in my case 11 centimeters. If you do this in inches, just take the center, and then I will take about 1, 2, 3 centimeters from the side and make another dot, and 3 centimeters from the other side. So now I have 3 Now I have 3 dots in here, and these will be my poking holes for my binding. I have an owl for this. You can get it on Amazon. It's a little pokey tool. It's very, very nice to make your books with. And now I'm going to make holes in my papers and my cover. So how I like to do is I like to keep the book a little bit closed like this, so I am sure that I will cut through or poke through the middle of all the papers and into the spine and not beside it. That's a little thing I learned that worked for me. Just beware where your hands are when you are poking this, because it is a very sharp tool and you don't want to have any accidents going on. So just be very aware of where your hands are. And now I'm just going to line up my pokey tool with this dot here, and I'm going to close my book a little, and now I'm going to make some holes in my book, and these will be for binding my book, lining it up, closing it a little. So this is how I like to poke my holes and works best for me. I've seen people do it in magazines and on other ways, but this is how I like to do it, to make sure that they are in the spine, poked into right into the spine of the book and not on the front cover or on the back cover. So after that, all you have to do is sew it together, and I took some blue embroidery thread. So this is just some simple embroidery thread. And I'm going to take 2.5 times the length of my insert. So that's 1, 2.5. That will make sure that you have enough space to sew your signature in and to tie off the knot. So now I will grab my needle. I just have a regular needle. It's a bit of a fatter one because I also like to work with some thicker thread. So I think this is an embroidery needle or something. Doesn't really matter what needle you use if you can just add your thread through it. So I will do that now. So now my thread is through this needle, and I'm going to sew in my signature. So I like to start from the middle on the inside because I would like to have the knot on the inside. But you can also add the knot on the outside and leave a bigger tassel and add some charms to it if you would like. You can also start at the top. It doesn't really matter, but I like to start in the middle. So I will go in the middle, making sure that you leave a tail on this side so you can bind it off properly. And then I will go on the outside through the top. Then I will skip the middle hole and go to the bottom one and go into the outside. Then I take my needle and I go through the middle hole. Well, here you see that you have your tassel here on one side and one string here in the middle, and I make sure that my thread that I'm going to put through will end up on this side, so that I have a little tying knot string on this side and a little tail on that side. So I will just go through the middle. So here is my thread. As you can see, it is on both sides of the middle thread. And now all you have to do is tie it off. Like this. So I pull it tight, but not too tight, because then you can break the embroidery thread or the paper, but make a tight knot. And I'm going to cut off the excess, not too close to the knot, because then it might unravel, but that's how I do it. And then I will take off these binder clips. I will close my book, and now you see we have some overhang here. And what I do as my final step when everything is done, I usually go over it again to crease it very well. And now I will take a knife to cut off this excess paper and a ruler. So I just have here a simple Stanley knife or crafting. You can also do it with a crafting knife, but this is what I have. And I have a metal ruler that's meant for cutting. And I'm going to line it up with my cover. And then I will usually go stand up for this and add some weight to it, but not too much. I'm just going to go through there, taking my time a couple of times until all the papers are cut. So I took my excess paper off, and now I have a nice journal to add some pen pal spreads in. So that was my tutorial. You see a lot of hair on the cover. This is from every piece of mail that is in the notebook, so the cover will be decorated while I am working on my pen pal journal. But this is how I start, and now we have a very nice journal with, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 spreads. So I hope that you found this tutorial helpful. As you can see, these journals grow quite a lot. It starts out as this and it ends up being like this. That's why I make my own. I hope that this tutorial helped you to make your own pen pal journal or your own journal for whatever you want to do. And if you like this video, I would love it if you would give me a thumbs up. I would also love it if you would consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye!